So once again, keeping in mind as far as price action, market decides to go ahead and long at resistance, and then market decides to go ahead and short at support. So the same line that you do have can mean multiple things. So the same one line, you guys would be able to get a long trade from that line, and you would be able to get a short trade from that line as well too. So both instances are going to be possible from the same congruent line. So it's a flow. Resistance turns into support, support turns into resistance, until price action decides to trickle back up, and then the trend will continue. Price action can only continue in two ways, and that's either going to be upward or downward. It's the only directions that price can move in. So take your time when you guys are finding your setups. Don't rush, and understand that it's going to take patience. We're going to be waiting for price to break and retest, and we're going to be waiting for the setup to come to us. Okay, so let's talk about what the key areas of support and resistance entail. The top of the levels where price decides to short downward at, which are going to be the top of the candlestick wicks that you're going to see at the top of each and every single candlestick, that is going to be known as resistance. The bottom of the candlesticks where price decides to go ahead and bounce upward at, such as right here, that is going to be called support. So keeping note of support and resistance is going to be extremely, extremely important. So continuing on here, let's keep track of this drawing. So market makes itself. A lot of the times the answers are going to be right there for you, and your bread and butter is going to come from your higher time frames. So the time frames we're going to be using are going to be the monthly, weekly, and the daily. Each of these time frames here are going to be extremely effective, and we're going to use these higher time frames due to the fact that if I were to go to the 5-minute or something like that, say market is in a very heavy downtrend, I literally can't see the bottom. It's a bottomless pit. So, and if market is dumping, we're not just going to miss out on trades because of that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put myself in a position to set up for the future. So let me go ahead and go to my higher time frames, use the monthly, weekly, and the daily, have the levels prepared, and then we're going to go ahead and back test. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and have you guys do is you're going to start off on your monthly time frame. So once you're on your monthly time frame here, you're going to go ahead and just put into perspective, okay, let me use logic here. If market is deciding to long from an area, then I'm going to be looking for an area of resistance to be broken, because resistance turns into support, and support turns into resistance. So if the support on the higher time frames have already been generated, that means that market has already found a wick on the smaller time frame that made it bounce from that point. So all we have to do is use the previous and past information into new stuff. So what I would go ahead and do here in this instance, I could go ahead and control click. There's going to be a magnet tool to the left, and that magnet tool, you're going to go ahead and be able to have sticky lines, and the sticky lines are pretty much going to go snap right onto the top of the resistances, so you guys don't have any balky lines or anything like that. All right, so boom, let's go ahead and let's start off. So what I like to go ahead and do, grab my line tool. You can come over to the top left on your trading view, click on the line, and then from there you can go ahead and click on the very top of the resistance. So I'm going to click on the top of the resistance here, boom, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it down. So after I've dropped it down, I'm going to go ahead and double left click it here, and I like to go ahead and label this. So you can go ahead and label it monthly resistance, change the color of it, and go ahead and make it purple or something like that. You can also change the line color using the edit pencil as well. So now that you've gone ahead and labeled that, what you can go ahead and do from here is click on the little squares after you click on the line, click on templates, click on save drawing template as, and from here you guys can go ahead and save your line. Okay, so I like to go ahead, if I'm on the monthly time frame here and I'm looking for monthly resistance, I'm going to go ahead and click on the monthly resistance and change it here, change it to MR. Now I'm going to go ahead and lock it up here, and this way the line isn't going to be able to move. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and be able to click on the line freely in case I have to move around on the chart or something like that, and the line isn't going to move all over the place. It's going to be in a generally good area. So noting from here, we can go ahead and continue downward. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out areas of support that are going to go ahead and be below as well from this range. So I'm going to start the resistance from right here, and then from here I could go ahead and continue to trickle upward and mark out the supports below me as well as the resistances, and then we could study all reactions. So we can mark out the supports below current price right now. So the support is going to go ahead and be below me. This is below current price. So we're going to be waiting for price to try to get below the area of support, wait for price to get below it, pull back up, and then take it back down. If market is trying to long in a sense, what we're going to go ahead and be waiting for is we're going to be waiting for market to break an area of resistance, get above it, turn resistance into support, and then long upward from there. Okay? So that's what it's going to go ahead and take. Just take your time. Market is going to go ahead and be a patience game. The answers are going to go ahead and be there for you. If you're looking to short, wait for an area on the monthly, weekly, daily to be broken, and then you guys can go ahead and short from there and take your downside trade. So if you're looking to upside trade, wait for an area of resistance to be broken. Wait for resistance to turn into support, and then you can go ahead and take your trade from there very simply and very cleanly. All right, boom, getting into the next section here. So once again, if I'm looking to long, I'm waiting for resistance to be broken. I'm waiting for price to get above the resistance, turn resistance into support, and then I'm going to long. If I'm looking for a short trade, I'm looking for price to get beneath an area of support, and then I'm going to be waiting for price to break the area of support. We're not going to get in at the breakout. I'm going to wait for price to pull above, turn support into resistance, and take it back down. So once again, just like our drawing, we can go ahead and see here, resistance turns into support, and support turns into resistance. So on the same line, you guys can have so much price action just on one singular line. Okay? I'm going to keep showing you many examples as well too. All right, so let me go ahead and just delete this here. And let's go and let's continue on. So boom, so looking at this range here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line at this monthly support down here too. You can label them however you would like, and just make sure that your chart is clean. Keep it clean, keep it simple. So after the monthly time frames, I'm going to go ahead and do about this much worth of price action. I'll go up till about this support down here on the monthly. We'll do this one. We'll do this one down here. So I'll go about until this monthly support down here, just because I like that congruent zone. So one more time, if I'm looking for a long trade, I'm going to wait for resistance to turn into support. I'm going to wait for price to get above the resistance, turn resistance into support, and then you're going to go ahead and get in for the longs. If you're looking for a downside trade, you're going to go ahead and, and if you're looking for a downside trade, you're going to wait for a support to turn into resistance. Wait for price to get underneath the support, wait for price to pull up, and take it to the downside. After we've analyzed all of our higher time frame structure, we're going to be using our smaller time frame candles to see the structure. Name of the stock, this is going to be NVIDIA. So let's go and let's keep checking it out here. So, boom. Now I'm going to go to my weekly time frame. So now you guys are going to see you're going to have a little bit more candles, which is going to be just fine. So let me make sure I have the support and resistance circled for you guys, just so you guys can clearly see the range that I'm looking at right now. Okay? So this is going to be the closest support. How do I know that this support is valid? Price decided to go ahead and get bullish from this area here already. And what did we talk about, guys? This is the flow. Pay close attention here. Resistance turns into support. I want you to pay close attention to this area right here. This accumulation where price decided to go ahead and get bearish from later turned into an area of support over here. So as you guys can see, I'm not lying, just like the drawings and just like I show you guys in my free ebook, my courses, videos, and everything. Resistance turns into support, and support turns into resistance. Okay, as we keep going, I'm going to keep showing you guys these key examples, but understand that all price is doing is hunting for a wick. That way it's going to try to pick whether it wants to bounce there or break out. And at the end of the day, the point of price is to go upward if you're on a bullish chart. So the point of like Bitcoin and stuff like that is to go bullish. So that's just keeping that into perspective. So understand that resistance turns into support. So the reason why that this area decides to get bullish from here is due to this higher time frame support. Higher time frame resistance right here. That's why this higher time frame support was created. So if I'm going to be looking for a downside trade, let me use the information that's already on my screen. So if I'm looking for a downside trade and I know that support turns into resistance, why wouldn't I wait for this key higher time frame support that was already validated with resistance to be broken? So if I was looking for a downside trade here, for example, I'm going to be waiting for this support to be broken. I'm going to wait for price to go ahead and get underneath here. I'm going to wait for price to pull back up, turn support into resistance. Support turns into resistance. And then, inshallah, if God wills, I'm going to take it back down. And if I know that price gets bullish at resistance levels, then I can make my take profit at resistance. So I know there's some weekly resistance right here. Boom, because price could potentially get bullish from there. Use the answers that are going to be right in front of you guys. If higher time frame support was already validated with resistance, then there's a higher chance that break and retest could occur here. The market can only go one of two ways, up or down. It doesn't do very many random things. I want you guys to know that every single wick within the market happens for a reason. It just depends on what time frame that you're looking at and what time frame that you're seeing it on. But every wick that happens for a reason. So we're going to know, I'm going to go ahead and just draw it down here for you guys. For anybody new coming in the stream, let me just draw how market works. All right. So cool. Let me just draw this down here for you guys. Boom. 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 I just want you guys to study this reaction right here. All the reactions right here. All from the same lines. When you see resistance is where market decides to short from. Okay? So resistance is going to be an area where market decides to short from. That's going to be the top of the candlesticks that you guys are going to go ahead and see. Okay? So whenever you see the top of the candlesticks, that's going to indicate resistance. Whenever you guys see the bottom of the candlesticks where price decides to get long from, that's going to indicate support. So support is where market decides to long from. All right? So understand that resistance is where market decides to short from. Support is where market decides to long from. Okay? I try and make it as easy as possible for you guys. So boom, keep these two in mind. So after you've gone ahead and keep these two in mind here, let's go ahead and let's check this out and let's continue onward. So we know that resistance turns to support. So we know that if we're shorting, I know that my take profit I'd be looking for, ideally, could go ahead and be a resistance or a support. But ideally, it's going to be looking for a resistance, because if higher time frame support validated with resistance is broken, then price ideally is going to be looking for another resistance on the higher time frames to bounce from. And that's ideally, a lot of the times, is going to be your take profit. All right? So boom. So now let me go ahead and make things smaller here. And let's go ahead and keep jumping into it. So now I'm going to go down to, so I'm on my weekly time frame here. So we did all the monthly, and now I'm going to go down to my weekly. So we talk about the downside examples. Now let's talk about if market decides to get bullish. How would I long? So if I were to long here, we know that resistance turned into support. So I can just easily look above at the resistances that were already broken. So I have some resistance right here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my tool, and I'm going to label these. Weekly resistance, weekly resistance, weekly resistance. Okay? Weekly resistance. It's a little trading view bug if you guys do see a square right here. But understand that just keep marking out all the resistance that you do see if you are looking for an upside trade. Weekly resistance up here. Weekly resistance. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to play break and retest at the best levels that look the best. So, and yeah. So let's just study a past reaction here. Let's see if price decides to break and retest from these two support levels here. Let me go to my smaller time frame here on the yellow. And as you guys can go ahead and see, price decides to kind of, let me go to my 1 minute here, see if there was any, yep, there we go. And we do have a break and retest reaction, which is going to be right here. So the break and retest reaction is going to be right here, as you guys can see. As soon as price got underneath that line, let me go ahead and make it yellow for you guys. As soon as price decided to get underneath that blue support line here, decided to turn support into resistance. This is why the 1 minute is going to be extremely important and useful too. A lot of your entries are going to come from the 1 minute. So as you guys can see here, not lying, even on a random example. So break of support turned into resistance and then downside into the resistance. And as you can see, price decided to get bullish at the resistance. That would have been your take profit. So you could have easily caught points like that. And all we did was analyze the support. So you could have caught that short, and you could pretty much catch any short that you want as long as you do have it marked out from your higher time frame levels. Okay? So, noting that, let's go ahead and let's keep going here. So let me just draw this here. Okay. So, that is how the short trades were to go ahead and work out. Okay? And you can use your higher time frame resistances as well as the supports here. So if support was already validated right here, then you can mark this too and play this reversal upside. So this weekly support would be valid here because resistance was already created off of this. So if price decided to go ahead and get above it, then we could go ahead and take that trade from here. So as you guys can see, price decides to go ahead and break and retest. Let me show it to you one more time on the 1 minute very closely and cleanly. So this break and retest right here, this is going to be the resistance that price decided to make off of the weekly support that I just marked out. So all we did was go to the weekly support, and you see how support turned into resistance, correct? So we would be able to take this same thing to the upside. So if I wanted to long from this trade, I could. Price already validated resistance here. If price got above here and showed me some bullish price action, I'd be able to take this because this is part of the flow. So even though there's not a resistance candle there on the higher time frames, that's okay because the support candle turned into resistance on the smaller ones. So it all works together like a big puzzle. But in these other instances too, where you just see these clean resistances, I would just look for an instance where, okay, where's going to be a nice area? Boom. Maybe right here I see some support at this area with these resistances. Maybe above here would be a good long, or above here. And then we still haven't done our smaller time frames as well too. So if you're on the daily as well, there's going to be some more supports, and a lot of the times, especially if you're a day trader, the daily is going to give you a lot of those entries that you're going to be running into. So let's go ahead and let's mark out some daily supports. So I'm going to go ahead and look for the bottom of the candlesticks now, and that's going to be the supports. So if you guys want an easy way to go ahead and find out your zones, your entries, etc., just use your monthly, weekly, and daily time frames and mark out all of the supports. Supports are going to be the bottom of the candlesticks on the higher time frames. Okay, so now training is over. We went over that resistance turn into support. Now that you know that, now you can just eyeball supports because now you know not to just buy a support. Now you know how to short because now you know support turns into resistance. and resistance turns into support. Market works in a structure. Absolutely nothing random about it. And it's about just taking your time when it comes to marking out your levels. You don't want to miss anything, because we're trying to profit here. If you guys want to become a profitable trader, stuff is going to take time. Your discipline has to increase. And let me show you guys another example of something right here. This is going to be an example of resistance turning into areas of support. Okay? I try and make it as easy as possible. The answers are all right there for you. The answers are all there for you on the chart. It's just about taking your time. Am I streaming anywhere else other than IG? Yes, I'm streaming on YouTube. StackMode.net, StackMode Chris on YouTube. But yeah, so what we can go ahead and do to continue from here is keep marking out the supports. So resistance turns into support, support turns into resistance. So let's go ahead and continue on. I'm going to grab my line tool, underneath, daily support, lock it up. The reason I'm looking at supports is because support turns into resistance, resistance turns into support. So I'm marking out the lines beneath if I'm looking to short. If I'm looking to long, I'm going to mark out the resistances, or I can mark out a support above me if resistance was validated there on the smaller time frame. And what's really no. So but to the downside below, because support turns into resistance. So you'd be waiting for support to turn into resistance. So if you're looking for a downside trade, once again, let's go back to this weekly example here. Let's go to that weekly support that I marked out up here. Back to the weekly support. As you guys can go ahead and see, pay close attention to this weekly support. That's going to be right here. You see how price decides to go ahead and clip through it, correct? Okay. Now that we know that price clipped through the weekly support, let me mark a line on the weekly support and label it and scale down to my smaller time frame. Let me go to my 1 minute where my entries are going to be coming from. Go to my left. What do I see when the support was broken? Yes, break and retest. Support turns into, exactly. So this resistance is already verified. So in this instance, you're going to be able to use support as a long entry if price were to go ahead and break above that, because lower time frame resistance was created. So there is resistance there. So boom. Let's go ahead and let's continue on. So now that we mark the supports below me and we know that price is in a downtrend, now you can go ahead and look for a pretty clean trade. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is scale down to like my 5 minute time frame, and I'm just going to look for some reactions here. Okay? And I'm just going to see if there was some past break and retest, and we can see, let's study here. So boom. Let's go ahead and let's check something out. Market is extremely easy. Let me go on my 1 minute even. Okay. So let's go and let's check some things here out. So we're going to go ahead and look for some clean break and retest. So I'm a big fan of this right here. This has happened at the end of the day. Let's see if there's some mid-market break and retest. So this right here, right? Great example. Extremely, extremely simple. Welfare entry right here, guys. Literally, market couldn't be more free and more simple. What broker am I using? I use Webull, but this is being all marked out on TradingView. But okay. So let's go ahead and let's mark out this setup here. What do we have? An area of resistance right here. Boom. That turned into support. That turned into some more support. And that turned into more support. And that turned into a little more support. Over here. And guess what? Once this area, this strong key area of support, once it was finally broken, price decided to trickle down below it. And we got our very clean break and retest. So we can go ahead and see, as soon as price got underneath this area of support, price went down, turned support into resistance. And as you guys can go ahead and see, resistance here. And we took it down to the downside, took it down to the next support levels here that you could use as your take profits. So that's all we're going to go ahead and do. The structure was right in front of us. So say, for instance, I'm going to be looking for a trade here. So if I'm looking for a new trade, okay, if I see some daily support being created down here at 91.78, I'd go maybe to like my 1 hour time frame, 4 hour or something like that. And then you guys are going to go ahead and see something here. You're going to be able to go ahead and analyze the structure closely. So this is why it's really important to use your higher time frames. When you use the monthly, weekly, and the daily, you're going to be able to see a bunch of candlesticks otherwise that you wouldn't have seen just using the minute time frames. So I like to go ahead and keep using, what pair is this? NVIDIA. So I like to go ahead and keep scaling down and keep finding my entries. So if I'm looking for a trade below me right now, I see the support was already created here. Support was already created here. So let me wait for price to break this area of support. I'm going to wait for price to break and retest, because once again, support turns into resistance, and resistance turns into support. Okay? That's how market works, all on one line. Resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance. That's how market decides to go. Market works in a flow. Everything happens for a reason. When market bounces or shorts, it's shorting from certain wicks. When support or resistance is created, it's based off of price action that's happened to the left of us. Okay? So if I can go ahead and check out this resistance over here, resistance, this resistance that was created over here ended up turning into support over here to my right. Okay? So it's all about just seeing which pair rise and shine NVIDIA. Let me go ahead and pin that. Welcome, welcome. All right, NVIDIA is the pair. So understand that resistance turns into support. Support turns into resistance. So resistance turns into support. Support turns into resistance. I have to really drill this in you guys' heads. Trading is not as hard as you think it is. It works in a flow. Okay? Price is below me. I see the support was already created. I'm not going to trade a breakout. I'm going to wait for price to invalidate this support. I'm going to wait for price to come beneath the area of support. I'm going to wait for price to pull back up. And then I'm going to take it back down. You can go to stackmode.net and book a free call. Okay? So that's going to go ahead and be how price action is going to go ahead and work. Same thing to the upside here. We know that resistance over here, this area of resistance got broken, and this area of resistance turned into support. Okay? So we're just going to keep eyeballing this, and I've showed you guys so many past examples here. So just stay patient and just keep taking your time. So price hasn't gotten down here yet. So as soon as price breaks this support level here, I would wait to see if price were to remain bearish at this level. If it pulled up, hold this and take it right back down. Now that I've gone ahead and found my entry, let me go ahead and mark this. I'll make it my line yellow. The yellow line is going to be my entry line. Okay, let's go ahead and let's find a stop loss. So to find my stop loss, I like to go ahead and go to my daily, especially. So if I'm going to be shorting from the area of resistance, support, my apologies. If I'm going to be shorting and waiting for support to turn into resistance, then I can use resistance as stop loss because it's still logical. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I would get my short and long position tool, drag it, and I would go ahead and find me a clean stop loss. So I'm going to wait for this area of support right here to be broken. Or if I wanted to, I could also wait for this area of support to be broken. We could go ahead and do the bottom one actually, just because it has resistance and support validated on it. So I do like the bottom one a little more, but I do think the top one could potentially be valid depending on this structure here. Yeah, but the smaller time frame does have higher time frame supports with it, and price did decide to shoot up really, really hard past here. So we're going to go ahead and go with the bottom support instead. So if you see some supports congruent with each other, I recommend you take the one that's going to be below the price. So anyways, I'm just going to keep both the lines here until I know both the key supports are there, and then I'm going to mark out the resistance right here. So this resistance right here, which is going to be at the top, is going to go ahead and be my stop loss. Boom. So if I enter down here, I can go ahead and make this up here stop loss. Boom. And then let me go ahead and mark stop loss here. All right. So now that you've gone ahead and found your entry, do the downside, and we're waiting for support to turn into resistance. And this is going to be our entry right here, because I'm waiting for this support over here from the daily to turn into resistance. Okay? So that's going to go ahead and be that. Now if I scroll down to my smaller time frame here, there's not structure down here yet, but that's why we have to use things such as the 1 hour, 4 hour, and stuff like that, just so we can see the structure a little bit closer on this side here. And we can go ahead and make our take profit here. So I'm going to go ahead and set my entry here, stop loss at the top of the red line, and take profit is going to go ahead and be at the next support leg right here. So this is going to go ahead and be the trade, guys. So once again, what I'm waiting for is I'm going to be waiting for this area of support to go ahead and be broken. Okay? There's going to be some key supports on the daily that I found. Once again, this is why we use our higher time frames, because it just accumulates everything. So as you guys can see, let me make our entry line purple exactly, actually. Actually, I'll keep it yellow and make this one purple. Okay? Boom. And I'm expecting price to either break and retest at this line or this line right here. Okay? And inshallah, once price does that, then we can go ahead and get in for a downside trade. So a lot of you guys don't know how to short, and that's how you guys can effectively short. Okay? So, and I really like this short here because resistance is already validated here. And to the left, there's some more structure and stuff like that too. Okay? So market's really just about taking your time. A lot of you guys are just being impatient, and you really just need to put yourself in the flow of getting used to price action. So once again, if you're going to short, you're going to be waiting for an area of support to be broken. Okay? Then you're going to wait for price to pull up, and then you're going to go ahead and take that John right back down. Okay? Just take it right back down. This is exactly how market structure should work, and market is a lot simpler than we think. And just use the information that's already on your screen. So if I see a support that's going to be over here to my right, I can go ahead and just use that as take profit. So you guys don't have to make trading hard. Understand that the monthly, weekly, and the daily will do a lot of the work for you, and then all you guys have to do from there, scale down to your smaller time frames, and you'll be in a whole different ball game. All right? You'll be in a whole different ball game. I don't want you guys to be missing these trades or missing these shorts. Honestly, longing is extremely easy, so let's go and let's talk about how to long. So that's going to be the short downside example. Now, let me go ahead and delete everything from scratch, and I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys the upside example. So if I'm going to go ahead and look for an upside trade, let's go ahead and let's talk about this. So an upside trade here we would go ahead and I will mark out an area of monthly resistance here. Boom. So once again, if I'm looking for an upside trade, I'm going to wait for resistance to turn into support. And then from there, I can go ahead and take my trade and be profitable, inshallah. So from here, let me go ahead and mark out this area here. And I'm going to wait for price to break above this resistance. So once again, if I'm looking for a current price to, if I'm looking at short, I'm looking for support to be broken. If I'm looking to long, I'm waiting for resistance to be broken. Okay? All right? This is how you guys are going to be able to trade. So check it. Let's go and let's check this out over here, guys. Monthly resistance. Let's go and let's check it. So boom. After this, I'm going to go to my weekly, and we'll go ahead and we'll mark out the resistances that are going to be above current price again. This is going to be for the long example. So let's go and let's mark out some weekly resistance. Let's mark out some weekly resistance. And let's mark out some more weekly resistance above current price. All above current price. Okay? So price blitz past these areas, so price can still break and retest from these areas. So these resistances were created already. So now we're going to go to the daily and mark out all the resistances and do the same thing again. So I pretty much only have resistances to my left-hand side. So let me go ahead and mark all of these out as well. Marking out resistances. Marking out resistances. Taking my time here. Wow, okay. My bad. Really taking our time here. Marking out each area of resistance because I'm looking for an upside trade. So I just showed you guys how to downside trade. This is going to be how to long. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out the areas of resistance that are going to be above the current price because I'm waiting for resistance to turn into support. Okay? So that's going to be all the resistances I see that are going to be above current price in this little range here that I have. So if I'm looking to long here in this instance, here's how I would long, guys. Check this out. Trading, it gets extremely, extremely simple like this, guys. I just showed you guys how to find the downside. Here's how to trade the upside. As you can go ahead and see here, just use what the information that market already did for you. Okay? Support turns into resistance. And keep in mind, this is daily resistance. This is resistance from all the way to the left. This is why we use the monthly, weekly, and the daily. I give you guys so much free sauce. So much free sauce. We use the monthly, the weekly, and the daily because there's some levels that we can't see, but you're still going to be able to see the reactions in your face. So monthly, weekly, daily. Boom. After that, let's go ahead and let's analyze something else. Boom. We're going to go ahead and see that the support here turned into resistance. So resistance from way to the left turned into support over here. Price didn't just bounce here for no reason. It doesn't just do stuff for no reason. It bounced here for a reason. Because there's daily resistance to the left. So that resistance turned this into support here. Support turned into resistance, as you guys can see. And price decides to go ahead and come all the way back up and give a welfare entry at this resistance again and short back down. And it gave one more entry again and short back down. 3 entries price gave from the same level. And you guys want to tell me that trading is random? Nothing is random within the markets. It's just about being able to identify the congruencies. It's just about how bad do you guys want it? Do you understand that resistance turns into support because the first trade of all time, market had to rally up? Do you understand that support turns into resistance because that's just how the structure works? They make it a lot easier than it honestly should be. I'm very grateful for the market creators. Alhamdulillah. Because the way market is right now, it's just extremely easy to follow. It's easy to be profitable. And you guys can easily become profitable too, but you just have to lock in. Follow your flow. Follow your system. I just showed you the downside. Now I just showed you the upside. All right? So let's just keep studying. Let's keep getting in the flow of all things trading. Boom. So that's going to be my upside trade. So if I'm looking to long, I personally wouldn't long until this area of resistance with support validated on it broke. Until this area right here broke, I wouldn't trade. I wouldn't trade. Until this key area right here decided to go ahead and break, I personally wouldn't trade. Price would have to give me a very clean 1 minute break and retest for me to get in. Okay? I'm not just here just buying anything, and that's really the mistake that you guys are making. Some of you guys just buy absolute nonsense, and then when you guys are unprofitable, you're like, oh man, why is market so hard? Why is market doing X, Y, and Z? No, when you're just doing stupid stuff, they make market a lot easier than you think. The answers are going to be right in your face, and it's pretty much, it just comes to the point when, are you going to listen or not? Okay? If you can't see anything to your downside because if a bottom is hit, then you have to understand that you're going to be able to have to use your monthly, weekly, and daily time frames. Okay? So in this long example here, I would wait for this resistance to be broken. Long up here. Stop loss at one of these previous levels, like maybe down here, something like that, at this weekly resistance down here. Stop loss down here, because if price doesn't bounce at this resistance, then it's over. So that's why it's important for us to know the whole flow. Resistance turns into support, support turns into resistance, and we put everything together on the higher time frames, and then market decides to become a lot easier, inshallah. Okay? So boom. So if market decides to not long at these resistances after breakout, then this is going to be stop loss all the way down here if market decides to break past it. This is what's so smart about having the key levels on here. And then where would our take profit be? Our take profit would go ahead and be right here. Or if you guys wanted, you can make your stop loss maybe right here or something like that. It's going to be completely up to you guys, and you guys can set your take profits either using the smaller time frame information that's right in front of you, and yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to go ahead and do. So I'm going to mark the daily resistance that's ahead of me up here. English. I'm going to mark the daily resistance that's ahead of me up there, and you can also mark the supports that are above you as well too. Because the reason why you can mark the supports is because you guys can see support turns into resistance, right? So this is going to be validated. So market would decide to potentially short here as well too. So if I wanted to make my ultimate take profit up here, make a trade like this, I definitely could go ahead and take some very, very easy and quick signals just like this and catch multiple points. So it's time to really just level up, guys. It's time to level up. It's time for the level up. And I just want you guys to be profitable. You know? Understand that resistance turns into support, support turns into resistance. I drop so much free sauce for you guys, free ebooks, course, free videos, so much breakdowns and explanations. And I just want you guys to understand that this is how market works. Just wait for market to break up, take it back down, wait for it to come back down, and then take it back up. And same thing in a support case. If market has an area of support waiting to be broken, wait for that area on the higher time frames to be broken. So if I'm on the monthly here, and this is monthly support, I'm going to my weekly. Boom, I see resistance. Guys, resistance. Guys, resistance. Over here, resistance. Turned. Into support. Okay? Support is right here. The answers are there for you guys. The answers are there for you guys. Stop making trading as difficult as you may think it is. Stop disappointing yourself. Stop being unprofitable because you aren't turning on your brain. A lot of you guys just straight up aren't turning on your brain. Straight up. And it's absolutely disappointing. There's a lot of things you guys could be doing right now to become profitable. So it's going to be completely on you. Do you want to be profitable or not? Because all of the market answers are going to be right in your face at all times. Okay? So boom. Let's go and let's keep going. So boom, I would just see this strong area here, and then I would potentially wait for the support to be broken and catch the downside from here, inshallah. But you guys aren't going to do that if you're not being patient as well, okay? So let me talk about something else too. See the support that's created right here? You could just wait. Boom. Break and retest. Daily. Let me find a stop loss. Stop loss at resistance. Maybe stop loss like up here, something like that. Resistance, stop loss. Boom. Yeah, stop loss above this. Wait for a break and retest. Take it to the downside. So now, you guys go ahead and see. Now you have your downside trade, and you're going to go ahead and have your upside trade. So what's the problem now? Now you're prepared market-wise, both sides. On both sides of the market, you're going to be prepared. You're waiting for your higher time frame structure to happen. And then from there, you're going to be catching your trades, inshallah. But I need you guys to be patient. Patience and discipline. It's going to be the main things. It's going to be a support take profit right here. And a lot of these take profits as well could be re-entries. Okay? Zoom out. Use your 1 hour. Use your 4 hour and stuff like that. Make sure your take profits make sense. Okay? If my entry is going to be here, then a good take profit would definitely be down here. Alright? That's how you guys can do it. You can ignore the nonsense, set out your take profit after you find your stop loss, and just see if it hits. Just see if the trade hits. Break and retest, take it down to this one. Break and retest, take it up here. It's either the trade hits or it doesn't, honestly. Okay? So you guys need to start getting more in a risk-taker mindset. Start. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So stop loss, you can definitely 100% close that stop loss. But yeah, so this is just going to be the downside example. So if you don't know if price is going to go up or down, this is literally how you would just set up price. Just like this. Just using the flow. Using the flow. That's all we're going to go ahead and do here. And I show you guys so many examples of this because I want you guys to become profitable. I want you to get into the mindset of, okay, if I apply myself every day and I just analyze these simple setups, then inshallah, if God wills, I can definitely become profitable. So all you're doing is waiting for support to turn into resistance if you're looking for a downside trade. And all you're doing is waiting for resistance to turn into support if you're looking for an upside trade. You're going to be using your daily, weekly, and monthly time frames to analyze, and that's going to go ahead and be it. All right? All right? Eyeball this on the screen right here. So try and make it as easy as possible. So once again, resistance, we're expecting this to turn into support and take it up to the next support leg up here. Support, we're expecting that to turn into resistance, and you take it down to the leg down. Okay? Wait for your range to be broken, and then take your trades. Alright, and that's going to go ahead and be the stream, StackMode.net for mentorship, and you guys can go ahead and continue on with me, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace. If you guys are looking for a cryptocurrency broker where you guys can trade crypto futures, altcoins, and meme coins, I recommend you guys head over to bitunix.com. You guys can either buy crypto straight up and buy your favorite coins using your card, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, XRP, etc. You guys also have the ability to trade futures as well, where you guys can either long or short cryptos such as Bitcoin, or even trade altcoins and meme coins such as Gala USDT. So you guys have a huge variety of what you guys want to trade, and the fees are pretty low as well. On bitunix.com, they also do give you guys a welcome bonus as well, where you guys can complete some very easy steps and get some free capital which you guys can trade with. There's also tons of trading competitions that go on that you guys can earn some capital to trade from too, and you can compete against your buddies. So if you guys are looking for a new crypto broker with low fees, fast transactions, and fast withdrawals, I'd head over to bitunix.com. Link in description below. Peace.